Okay. It's come to my own attention by myself. I said, self? What self? I said, you forgot to review the 45mm f2.8 Fujifilm GFX lens. That's for the GFX camera, which I love. By the way, this is really one of only about 5 or 6 lenses that does require absolutely no sharpening and no increase in saturation. Just flat out epic tatas. Now, this is a 35mm equivalent. You'd actually take the GF lenses and you multiply them times 0.78, or times 0.78, and you end up with the 35mm FX equivalent. This is an 11-element lens. It's really not much bigger, and it is lightweight, especially for a medium format lens. Not much bigger than most FX lenses. 11 elements, $1,000 to $700. Not cheap at all. On a scale of 1 to 10, by the way, and I've got links for the images below, just some random stuff, and none of these images, all of these images, by the way, are straight out of camera, and it's like, what? That can't be straight out of camera. Look at the color and the sharpness. Yeah, that's straight out of camera. A lot of people comment on the image, surely you've edited those. No, this is how the camera dropped them. The lens dropped them, or the camera, or both, depends on how you look at it. I made the same mistake on this lens that I made on the 16mm Fuji. It's like, that's a lens I don't want to buy. And it's like, it's a 35mm Quiv. I mean, I got the 32 to 64, and what I think is the absolute best GFX lens, because it's so useful. It's basically an 85mm 1.6 equivalent. Yes, f1.6, roughly right around there. That's the 110mm f2. Basically a portrait lens. My favorite lens is the 32 to 64 because it's just so useful. It's a zoom lens, yeah, and of course are primes always better than zooms? Yeah, they are. However, the discrepancy when it comes to medium format lenses is a lot less. A medium format zoom lens is not like a regular zoom lens, which is, 99.999 times out of 100. Always far worse than a really good prime. So, basic point being, medium format zoom lenses are usually, especially modern ones, are really, really good. This lens actually takes the cake, though, for best straight out of camera sharpness and saturation, and it just slaps you right in the face and kicks you in the nuts. And it is really, by the way, one of the reasons also I got the 45mm as a 35mm equivalent is for use on the future rangefinder GFXR, which I assume that's what they're going to call it, because this is a nice lightweight lens. It'll be a perfect street, everyday sort of. This will be the lens that will be glued on to my rangefinder medium format Fujifilm, which I know they're going to announce later this year. I don't know if they're going to drop it this year or drop it beginning of next year, but this lens is not cheap. This little lens is $1,700. Is it worth it? Oh my God, yeah, it really is worth it. It is actually an amazing lens. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it like a 10.5. And I mean that. It does have some swirly bokeh, not much. By the way, it does have a very beautiful bokeh. The bokeh on this lens is absolutely creamy, dreamy, excellent. Actually, I can unequivocally say that if someone wanted a lightweight, medium format lens for the GFX and they didn't have the money yet to drop on the 110mm f2, this is an excellent portrait lens. It really is. It's this is straight out of camera, girlfriend. That's really good. It's amazingly good. So, yes, there we go, folks. Oh, yeah, here's the lens hood that comes with it. For $1,700, you get, hey, and then, by the way, it is made in Japan, just like all the GFX cameras and lenses are. Has a rubber ring and back, weather resistant, not that that really means anything. 1 aspherical element, 2 ED elements, and 11 elements in total. Absolutely really a near perfect lens, and that's not something. 4,900 some videos, you don't hear me saying near perfect on anything. There's only about 5 or 6 lenses, and that includes FX lenses that I could say near perfect. This is one of those near perfect lenses. The only thing that would actually make this lens like sitting on the top of Mount Everest is if it were, and then it'd have to be a lot larger and heavier and a lot more expensive, if it was like a 45 millimeter f1.8. If this was a 35 millimeter, I mean 45 millimeter, so 35 equivalent. If this was a 45 millimeter f1.8, wow, man, talk about one lens you could glue on your GFX and never take off. But this is still a 10 out of 10. This is a near perfect lens. It's just the bokeh, the saturation, the sharpness. It's just, wow. This lens will really make you sit up and bark like a dog begging for a T-bone. So there we go. And Fuji! What a effing awesome lens, honestly. I made the same mistake with this lens as I made with the 16 millimeter. I don't want that lens, you know. I got too many lenses. Yeah, you know, I already got. Yeah, I have 5G. I already own every GFX lens made, except for that new 250 millimeter, which I'm not buying that thing. Very expensive, and I don't need a 200 millimeter equivalent. I'm 100% certain of that. This lens is incredible. There you go, Fuji.